Hello, everybody, and welcome back to CADS. This is the first CADS under the new Tudor era, and there's probably not a lot changed. Last time we played Arsenal, we lost 4-1, and then yesterday we played Arsenal and we lost 4-1. So let's talk about what may have changed, what have we noticed already under our Tudorian boss, and see where we think things are going. Let's also talk about that Arsenal game. Sadly, I think we're going to have to. But yeah, we'll see what we can do. See if we stumble our way through it. See if we just take a little hiccup here and there. See what happens. All right, let's get going. I am joined as ever by some lovely gents. Starting with Austin. How you doing, Oz?
I'm good, thank you very much. Better than the football team.
Better, not difficult. Ash, how you doing?
Ditto Austin.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, okay. Not bad.
All right.
Better than
Excellent.
that Sunday.
And finally, David. How you doing, David?
Yeah, I'm slightly better than the football team, but it's not saying much, is it?
Not really. It's as you accused me yesterday of having a low bar. So we'll see where that conversation goes later. Yeah. So do we want to talk about Igor Tudor first, or do we want to talk about that Arsenal game? Which one do we want to get out of the way?
Dave,
about Igor Tudor first.
Dave, do you hate him already?
No, I like him.
All right, yeah,
Igor.
let's talk Mr. Tudor, our new interim boss. He's only here for a few months. I'm absolutely sure that if he does well and he gets the safe, there'll be a large pot of money winging his way. The bonus, can you imagine the bonus he's going to get for keeping us in the Premier League? That'll be very,
He'd
very
have earned
nice.
it with this shower of shit. So
We definitely could make that argument. So let's talk about what we think of the man and what we've seen of him so far before we talk about what we saw on the pitch. Ash, what are your thoughts?
Just a couple of things. I did notice the players he was having them play more aggressively at times. I noticed that the guys from the back were anticipating that so-and-so on the other team was going to get the ball, and they were just like rushing up to try and intercept. So there was some good intentions, I believe, going on. Difficult to make those intentions last. Don't make them after only about 4 or 5 sessions. So there were some good intentions. We're obviously, unfortunately, just as he said, 13 outfield players. We are limited by what is available and what to play, unless he starts doing a Tudor type guillotine type thing and starts lopping off the heads of some of those guys who just didn't actually turn up on Sunday. We had a huge crowd at the Greyhound. We had like 150 people, and it was we had an Arsenal shirt outside the pub, and we were all stepping on it as we were entering in. So everyone, and we were singing Dele Alli songs, and just also, that song about when I was just a little boy, my mother gave me a little toy.
Oh, yeah.
An Arsenal fan on a stick. She told me to kick his effing head in, and it was great, until they scored. So yeah, I did see good intention, but it is kind of difficult when you're it's like one hand behind your back with all those, unfortunately, players missing. Very difficult.
Yeah, I think it would be difficult for him to bring the guillotine out and knock anyone's head off because we don't have any players spare at the moment. I mean, he talked about 10 players plus 3, 10 outfield players plus 3 players. So those are the 3 goalkeepers. And then one of them apparently picked up an illness and wasn't able to be on the bench yesterday. So yeah, it's very tough at the moment. Obviously, some players are coming back. They're talking about Porro coming back and Danto coming back maybe for the next game. But really, it's back to the wall and see who can man the riggings. Is that what I'm saying? Yeah, I think so. Austin, what have you thought of the man so far? Not the game itself, but what have you thought of the man so far?
I like him. I like his presentation. I like what he says. He seems to have a good aura about him. He's been compared with Conte, and I don't like that comparison because I never liked Conte from the start. But I actually like him. He comes over as being positive. He says the right things. I saw him shouting at Mickey van der Ven during the course of the game, and van der Ven ignored him, which was annoying. But I've got a good feeling about him.
David, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Talks a good game. It says the right things. Doesn't hide. Doesn't do Frank. I mean, even though I was very pro Frank, Frank used to do something that used to really annoy me, which was it's sort of like I haven't done my homework type responses in press conferences. He was always saying, I'll have to go and look back at that when asked questions. He never had an answer. It was always pushing things down the road and never coming back. He never fronted up. Tudor, so far, I think what he said is good. I thought his press conference after the match was honest, a pretty good appraisal. I mean, he must have been pretty much in shock after what he saw. So I like him, and I think although apparently he is best mates with Conte, which is a black mark against him. I don't think that we're going to see Conte ball from him. I think he's I think he wants to be more aggressive in the press. He wants to be trying to close things down further up the pitch and so on. So I think I'm very positive about him. One other negative is that we're still trying those stupid long throws, which are just a total waste of time, and we just need to knock it off. What match is that? Match 27, 0 goals from all those long throws. Waste of time.
One decent chance. One decent chance.
It's
done nothing for us.
Okay, so but apart from that, I'm not going to talk yet about the match or how I think he handled it and so forth. But I'm very positive about Igor.
So his best friend apparently is Stipe Pleticosa, who was a goalkeeper for us for one season.
I remember him.
Yeah, he actually made his debut against Arsenal. So that's his best friend. But apparently he admires Conte, and there was elements of his coaching that he's brought in, like the automations. So moves that are basically not pre-programmed, but they've walked through on the training pitch. You go here, you go there, you do this, you do that. So there are set moves that they want to do on the pitch, and that was something that Conte wanted to do a lot. The only problem with that, and I think this is borne out with his career, Tudor's career, is that players will accept that kind of training for a little bit of time before they get bored and want to do something different. And he's never really done much good, I think, beyond this time at Hadrick Split, after about 6 months.
Yeah.
But that's not really an issue for us, because in 6 months' time, he's not going to be here. All the will in the world, unless he gets us to win the Champions League, which I really don't think is going to happen. But it's also the only way we're going to be in Europe next season. He's not going to be at the club next season. Hey, what have you thought?
Yeah, it's a bit hard to judge. I mean, he had like a couple of training sessions.
5 days.
Yeah, 5 days. You can't judge him too soon. So I guess reserving judgment, but we needed a change. We got a change, and I think from the options out there, it makes a lot of sense with his track record. So I don't think you can fault that. Can't fault him. It's like everything with Spurs. The problems run deeper. Yeah, I think I'll reserve judgment on. But so far, he gives you a bit of hope, that he could turn it around. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, I've liked what he said in the press interviews leading up to the match. Talked about committing players forward and trying to score goals and playing exciting, entertaining football. But the other thing I really liked was when they said, "Are you excited to be here?" And it's like, "No, I'm not excited to be. I'm here to work. It's just not fun."
So were you enjoying it? Did you enjoy it?
Are you enjoying yourself? Yes, I'm not enjoying myself. This is not. It's just fun. I'm here to work.
That was dumb.
And then I thought the other thing he's done very well was he took the players out for a meal, which I don't ever remember Frank doing. No, there's only a short amount of time he's going to be at the club, and he does have to turn things around fairly quickly. And to do that, he's got to put together some team spirit and some kind of cohesion. So yeah, doing that. But the element I really did enjoy about seeing those photos from the team meal is that players who he's never going to have on the pitch were there. So players who've got long-term serious injuries, Odebert was there, you know, Madison was there, Kulusevski, we still don't know when he's coming back. Apparently he's in the gym training. We've seen some images and videos, but he may not be back this year, you know. Players who are not going to be back playing for him ever, 0% chance of them playing for him. He took them out as well. So I thought that was pretty good. It was a sign of a stand-up guy, so to speak. So
Just
let's
on
talk
the,
about the game. Now.
on,
Go on.
on those videos that Austin mentioned about him shouting at Van der Ven to play further forwards and being ignored. I saw somewhere else that the way that's framed. I'm measuring my words because I don't want to say something bad about another Tottenham fan, but that's not you, Austin. He was actually shouting.
First, if someone doesn't say something bad about me, Dave.
No, I can't think of anything negative to say about you, Austin. You're a wonderful man. That he was actually shouting at Radu, and the reason Mickey seemed to be ignoring him was because it wasn't Mickey he was talking to. So it's a very sort of. I'm not sure why this particular Tottenham fan that posted that video seems to post an awful lot of videos that shit stir.
Oh, okay.
Does his initials start with the same letter twice?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wonder what's going. You know, I mean, it's just weird. But it's the guy's first match. Why? What's the point of that? And you know, and furthermore, it's actually, I think, if I understand correctly, it's actually not true. He wasn't shouting at Mickey van der Ven. He was shouting at Radu to play further forwards, and Radu did indeed have quite a few positional problems during that match.
Makes sense.
I don't know. I don't know why our own fans seem to be trying to make things difficult for ourselves, for our new manager. Don't get it.
There are sadly
lot of-
content creators out there who, you know, they get more hits when things are bad, and there's something to be upset about.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it looking at our numbers. I mean, the video we did with the apps guys last week was the best performing video over the space of 7 days that we've ever had.
Right.
So when there's turmoil, when there's upheaval, people love that kind of stuff and they jump in. You know.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason it wasn't the high quality thumbnail I put in. Let's put it that way. So
Wasn't?
No, apparently not. Let's talk about the game itself. I thought we were in it for periods, but honestly, I think the main difference is that they've got a much deeper squad than us. They've had a coach in place now for several years, and they all know how to play, and they know where to find each other in certain moves and certain combinations, and we just didn't seem to have that at all. And also, it doesn't help when your most involved central defender looks out on his feet after 60 minutes. Radu Drăgușin looked absolutely knackered after 60 minutes yesterday. So I thought that was not a good sign. And it doesn't help when you're playing 12 as well, because that ref was abysmal.
Yeah.
Shocking. Yeah. It genuinely terrible. And we've complained a bit about refs this season, and I think rightly so. I think we've had a reason to complain. But I think potentially that was the worst refereeing decisions I've seen this season. Because
it was really shocking, and it was the entire. It wasn't just the ref; it was the entire officialdom. Because, as I understand it, Igor was getting told off for being outside of his technical area.
Yeah,
but not Arteta. He can go wherever he wants. You know.
Well, they were telling Igor off for being outside of his area, whilst Arteta was outside of his area.
Yeah. Well, what's going on? You know, VAR must have looked at Gabriel's obstruction. They must have looked at Gabriel's simulation. Both yellow card offences. One of them's at least a yellow card offence. You could make an argument for a red, but I think that would have been a bit harsh. But you know, I don't know what's going on. How is that possible? That they're not picking these things up. How is that possible?
You know, Yeah, Dave, good points. There has to be a thing, first of all, we're just having so many bad things happen to us, it just continues on, a lot of bad karma. And, the teams who are more competitive, who are more successful at this point, they do get the rub of the green. They do get the calls. And we're not going to get them until we're up there 5 years or 6 years, Arteta's being there, or Pep or whatever. I think there's an element to it. Yeah, the refs aren't great. I think on CADS, Dave Nizick that's one of his bête noirs, how bad the English refs are. But we're not going to get the rub of the green because we're just, we're not that good. So
Yeah,
we're
but
not
also we don't kick off. I mean, I still remember how
Yeah.
ridiculous Arteta was going. It's disgraceful. I remember that because I've been practicing my impression of him. He went mental when they got decisions against him. And I've just said a lot of good things about Igor. I'm sorry, but I'm disappointed that yesterday he didn't throw his toys out of the pram about those two decisions. And I think so I don't think it's just about them getting the rub of the green because they've been there for a long time and they're successful. That might be part of it. You might be right, Ashley. But I think the other thing is Tottenham management, Tottenham direction does not put pressure on the referees.
Yeah.
If he's out there going, I think we were cheated. Okay, give me a £10,000 pound fine. Yeah, but the referee cheated us out of a goal. The referee cheated us out of an attacking. Okay, give me a 10,000. I don't care. You're cheats. That next match, the referees, he's got to be thinking about what he's doing. He's under pressure. You can't. Okay, probably not calling them cheats. That probably lead to more than just a £10,000 fine. But until you start putting pressure on the officials, it's not going to change.
Good point. In addition to all those
mine is though, referees should be impartial. They're bloody well not impartial. Full stop. It's a disgrace.
No.
The thing that annoyed me, I don't know if any of you watched Match of the Day, but Shay Given was on there and he highlighted three occasions I think in the last month where effectively exactly the same thing happened and a goal was scored and they let it go. So there was Lenny Yoro against Brighton. There was a Wolves game. There was something. And then he said, and then there's this one. It was Liverpool when we played Liverpool.
Yeah.
And Ekitike had his hands on Romero's back, and I'll be honest, at the time, and I'm pretty sure I said it, I thought it was a weak and a bad decision from Romero because I think he effectively dived as well. He just didn't get the decision go his way. I didn't think it was a foul at the time. But this one was even worse because Kolo Muani touches his back with one hand, literally just touches it, right? Yeah. To let the guy know he's there. Okay, and then brings the ball down, and just as he takes his hand off him, Gabriel's got both feet on the ground, and then he immediately throws himself forward like he's been shoved in the back.
Yep.
Like Kalimwani's hand isn't even on him at that point.
Yep.
It's just an absolutely ridiculous decision, and how VAR looked at that and went, "Oh yeah, that's fine." I do not know.
Insane.
That's a fair decision.
It's actually a yellow card for simulation.
Absolutely,
Which actually should have been a second yellow card.
Yeah.
By the way, so I mean, let's be honest, we didn't even deserve a draw. But if we'd got back to 2-2, we don't know what could have happened. If Gabriel had been on a yellow card and had to be a bit more circumspect in his interventions, we don't know what would have happened. We don't know. The team was out on its feet.
If you think about it, I think Kolo Muani's goal should have stood, but also when he was bursting through and Gabriel brought him down. Gabriel should have been booked for that. We could have been 3-2 up.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's his first. For me, that's the first yellow card he should have had.
Sorry, I'm agreeing with you in an argumentative sense.
I love it when you agree.
In an argumentative manner.
It means you're wrong.
So there was earlier in the season when we played Newcastle, I think it was Dan Burn got a penalty awarded to him because our player wasn't even looking at the ball as the tussle started, right? On this one, Gabriel was not even looking at the ball when he deliberately stepped across and obstructed Radu Kolo Muani.
Yeah.
All right. And even worse than that, earlier on in the game, Jed Spence, perfectly good shoulder-to-shoulder tackle on Saka, right? And he comes away with the ball, and the ref blows up and gives it to Arsenal. And I'm like, how is that even a foul? That's not. That is that is football. Football is a contact sport, right? And how do you look at that and you say, oh yeah, that's a Tottenham foul. Arsenal should be getting the ball in that position. And then to then back it up by giving Gabriel the opportunity, and saying, oh, that's not a foul either, when he deliberately obstructs Colomwani. And I think that was before the goal that should have stood. So yeah, Gabriel should have been off, and then we'd have been playing 10 men.
So, Stu, do you think they're biased or what?
I think there's a subconscious bias because Arteta is willing to come out in the press and he is willing to complain about them. I mean, I've been thinking about this today, and I think Tottenham need to have effectively a head of complaints where they look at matches and they look at refereeing's performance, and that guy has his own little press conference and says, right, these are the complaints that we've got about the football that's happened at Spurs this week. And Tottenham pay his fines every month that it comes out. Just tot up those fines, 50,000 a month. Okay, fine. But you make sure you keep complaining. You've got to do it at high level. You've got to do it at board level. You've got to do it. Someone has to be in charge of that. Because right now, I, like David, I thought Igor Tudor should have come out all guns blazing, because what's he got to lose?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? They're not going to ban him for the next match, right? They'll give him a fine and a warning first, and then they might ban him if he does it the same thing in 3 weeks' time or something like that. So he should have come out all guns blazing and saying, look, that was a bullshit call. There's no way it should have been allowed. And, if you'd actually done your job properly, then we'd have been on level footing, and then we'll see what would have happened. Because Arsenal, I don't think Arsenal are a scary side. I think they're scary consistent. But that's as far as it goes. I don't look at them and go, there's a group of players there who scare me. I don't look and go, oh, Saka scares me. Saka doesn't scare me. I mean, Jed Spence had him in his pocket for much of the match. So I don't look at it and go, that's a scary team. Liverpool, there are Liverpool players that scare me. Manchester City, there are Manchester City players that scare me. Manchester United, to a sense, there are players in there that scare me because they've got pace and they can do dangerous things. But Arsenal are just competent. Arsenal are a very physical side who make the best of the opportunities they've got. Free kicks, corners, stuff like that. And they're snide. They're just snide, and they're really good at being snide. And
they're in the image of their manager.
They're very much in the image of their manager. It reminds me of George Graham. They remind very much the George Graham style football, and they improved a bit in terms of their watchability of the football, but they still had that snide edge. But now they've gone backwards, I think, in terms of just playing some awful football, very agricultural, very industrial. I wouldn't want to watch that every week. But yeah, it's effective, and yeah, they're going to pick up points, and so what? It can't be fun to watch. We said this before in this. It can't be fun to watch that every week.
I think just moving off Arsenal back to Tottenham, I do think that if we can.
Oh yeah, this is a Tottenham podcast, so we should do that.
We had a back three plus two wing backs. Out of those five, two definitely, and arguably three were people playing out of position, and one is only just back from an extremely long-term injury. We really struggled defensively. There were a lot of problems defensively. Poor Archie Gray got a bit of the run around some of the time, even though I think he's an absolutely extraordinarily good player. He did get the run around. I thought Spence struggled, actually, to be honest.
I think he did too.
Down his side.
He did.
Palhinha, midfielder out of position, which also means we're missing, his bite in midfield. That makes things really difficult. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens when Porro gets back, when Danso gets back. I think we might have a little bit more defensive now. We can maybe move Palhinha into midfield. We could perhaps take. I love Sarr, but he wasn't convincing us. He had some good moments, but he really was weak some of the time yesterday. I thought Bissouma was surprisingly okay for large periods of the game. Showed real willingness to get in there.
Oh, he looked up for it.
Yeah, but there were two players that were a massive disappointment yesterday, and that's Xavi and Gallagher. Although Gallagher put in the cross for the goal that was not given, I think that was more or less his only proper contribution. He looked a yard off the pace the entire time, and I was really disappointed because I really expected Gallagher to get in there and really make a difference. He was really poor.
Can I add, sorry, if you want to say so, can I add Spence into that, Dave? Because I know Stu, and I applaud what you said about Spence. The guy's lazy, you know, and he was getting beaten on the underlap. Okay, that's partly somebody, maybe the defensive midfielder has to track the guy who's going on the underlap past Spence and Saka, but he was getting beaten down that side. The balls were coming in from that side, from the underlap. So maybe it was part of the other guy. But Spence has this awful sort of inclination to not run back. You know, he just sort of strolls back. Is he kind of lazy? What is that? So those two guys you mentioned, Dave, yes, and then also Spence, because I think he's a bit tardy. You know, I don't know, too big boots or something or whatever. I'd like to see Sousa given a shot. You know, that's what I meant. By the way, that's what I meant about Guillotine. You know, have some of these. He's seeing them in training. You know, give him a shout, give him a shot.
Hey, what you got for us?
Yeah, I think a lot of the problems, I think, comes from having so many people out of position, not knowing, you know, where they're going to be instinctively. It's going to improve, I think. I think it'll improve as it goes on. There was some grass shoots. Thought Bissouma was pretty good. As David said, he looked really up for the fight, and I enjoyed that. That's a Bissouma I want to see. And, you know, I think if Bissouma is up for the fight for the rest of the season, we've got a good shot. I think it's very important that we get a few defenders back, because I thought when Polinia did venture into midfield, he made some proper crunching tackles.
Yeah, lovely.
And I think that gets everybody up. And it gives them a little bit less time because they feel that it's coming, and they do things hastily. I think a lot of our defensive errors is from not knowing the players and what they're going to do in that position, and not knowing the system. And it's going to take a few days. I thought Colomwani did well. Besides his goal, and he should have had two. He looked promising. He looked willing to shoot. He looked willing to take them on. But I think the problems we're having, the hesitancy, is from having so many people out of position everywhere. And I think when we get Romero and maybe Danso back, you'll see a different team. I think it'll play a lot differently. I would have liked to have seen Sosa, and Archie was struggling, and we were lacking stuff in the middle. I thought it would have been nice to see Archie come in for Conor and bring Sosa on the left, let Jed go on the right, and I think that would have been a better balance. But he's been there 5 days. He'll pick that up. Yeah, I like the option of two up front when we needed it, but I think it was the wrong way about. I think Solanke coming deep was making him rather ineffective. I thought maybe Moani, if he came a bit deep, he would pick up some pockets that were better. And then it was nice to see Richie back, and he worked hard, and he was a nuisance, and he was really unlucky. So
he was so close to another world-class.
So close.
It's so close.
Yeah.
And I think that's giving me the hope going forward, is that with a few tweaks here and there, we have goals. And with a few players coming back, we'll be a lot better. So that's what I'm holding on to for now. As for Arsenal, a piece of shit. Every time I see them, I want to punch every single one of them. Yeah.
Especially Arteta.
Cards all over the place.
Spurs.
Yeah. Let me clarify my thoughts on Spence. I thought defensively Spence was very good. Saka got nothing out of him, but as has been said, on the underlap, Timber got way too much space. You know, nobody closed him down. I don't think that's Spence's fault. The issue I do have with Spence is football is a two-way game. It's not just defense. When he went forward on that left-hand side, he was too slow. He did not drive, and he didn't seem to have an idea of what he was going to do when he was on the ball. So, for me, I would have brought Sousa on. If I would have started with Sousa, because I would have had that right-left balance and had Spence over on the right. Even though it would have been up against Saka, it would have been a big ask for a young player who's just coming into the league. But, having that left-footed balance makes such a difference to our side. We've seen it in the past when Udogi's been available, which sadly has not been enough. But if Sousa had been in, I think it just would have been a more enjoyable experience. Let's put it that way. He's more used to going forward from his time at Santos and, effectively playing as a left winger, but starting at left back. And it kind of says something where at the end of the game, when Tudor did start making some changes, he actually brought Mathys Tel on and put him effectively at left wing back, which I thought was quite an interesting choice. And Mathys Tel actually did okay out there. I'm not going to let you get away with slamming Xavi again, though, David, because we had a conversation about it. I thought Xavi had a pretty good game. He got involved. He had a pretty good game. He got involved. He did some closing down. He was involved in closing down, which led to our first goal with Colomwani. So
he was absolute pants.
No,
absolutely crap. I've just seen a stat. You like stats, don't you?
I do love a stat. A good stat.
Xavi Simons was dispossessed 7 times versus Arsenal. No player has been dispossessed more in a single Premier League match this season.
Oh, okay.
He was. I remember right at the opening of the second half, he got involved in a nice move, and he got involved in a couple. I think he had about 3 or 4 good actions in I don't know whether he played the 90 minutes. I can't remember.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, in the 90 minutes. In between those, he was either ineffective or actually dangerous. He was.
Not dangerous in a good way for us, though. I'm thinking, okay.
No. That pass across the field straight to an Arsenal player just outside our penalty area. What the absolute fuck? Seriously. Yeah. That was sackable incompetence. I know I go on about Xavi, and it's not about the man. It's about the board bringing in somebody who was not ready when we needed someone who was ready. Maybe next season in the Championship, he'll be at the right level. Maybe.
If we're in the Championship next year, he's somewhere else. He will not be at the club next year.
Well, that's a good. At last, I'm starting to like the idea of us getting relegated. Then he was fucking rubbish.
Oh dear me,
rubbish.
Stop minting words and speak your mind.
Gallagher was worse.
On my feelings.
Yeah, Gallagher was worse though. Gallagher was like, as you said, a yard late. Don't think he won an aerial duel at all throughout the entire game. He seemed like even jumping for the ball, and he jumped behind the ball or behind the player as they got the ball.
Always
I like Conor Gallagher, but I think he needs to get himself integrated into this team and be a bit of a leader, which he has been at other clubs. But we need that because we don't have enough leaders at the club right now.
Yeah, because I more or less expected that performance from Xavi, but I did not expect that performance from Conor Gallagher.
In terms of Gray and our good young lad, Pape Sarr, I'd have switched him over very, very early on. Pape Sarr's got a great engine on him back and forwards. Having that down the wings, I think, would have been very useful. And just having someone with a bit of nous in midfield would have been great as well, because it was not great. It was not great there. So I just thought I'd have swapped them over and see where that took us. But again, all of these things are, none of us are football managers. None of us had any kind of influence on the match. So it's just our thoughts. What about after the game? What did you think of? Oh, hey, what you got to say?
I agree with both of you. Conor Gallagher and Xavi were having generationally bad games, and for that, I think it's difficult to judge our midfield because I think they're the ones that are most impacted by the changes, and you're seeing that disconnect. But I think there's certain things you can do and you can't do, and misplacing simple passes as opposed to one where you thinking somebody's going to be running into space is different. and we did a lot of those things, so we didn't help ourselves. But I'm gonna find it difficult to really lay the blame at some of them, especially Pape, because of the work that he had to do. There were so many times where he would win the ball back, and there's nobody close to him, nobody for him to make a pass to except to go backwards. And you could see the frustration. I don't think we're using him properly. We're not using anybody properly.
Yeah, there was one point during the match where Pape got the ball and ran forward, and he looked around. Nobody was doing anything, and he literally threw his hands up in the air, saying, "What's going on, guys?" And he's like, "Yeah, I feel you," because it was not the first time that happened.
Yeah, so
I think I said it. I think I said it on the forum. It's going to take more than 5 days to get the Frank off this team.
Yeah. Yeah.
He needs more time on the training pitch. He needs to get more players back, and the players will start slowly coming back soonish. But
I think
who do you, by the way, apart from Paul and Danso, Stu, who else do you see coming back?
Well, obviously,
let me paraphrase that. Who else do you see coming back who can actually be? We got some defensive additions, but anybody who can actually contribute to the other end, some more creative coming backs.
Kudus is supposed to be back end of March, isn't he? I mean, it's going to be late, but having a wide option would be nice. I think at some point, I think at some point they're going to have to look and say, right, Tell, you need to get a run of games, because he's a player who is fit and available, and we should be using him more. At the same time, I think we need to be looking to our youth players. And I've pushed back on this because I don't want to have our youth players getting involved in a relegation battle. But I think we need them. I think we've got so few players available now that we need to have Williams-Barnett on the bench, and we need to be throwing him on for 20 minutes and saying, go out there and give it everything you've got. And saying to Xavi, look, you're playing a 70-minute game. Don't hold back. Right?
Good point.
You're going to be playing 70 minutes. Xavi, Luka Williams-Barnett, you're going to be coming on for 20 minutes, so you don't hold back either. There are players who I think can come into this side and make a bit of a difference. I was surprised Byfield wasn't on the bench. I think he's a really good young player, but he must have been, Byfield, I think he must have been ill or had some kind of injury, because he didn't play the day before either in the under-21s. So,
Ash, I would like to say that the way the system that he's playing with wing-backs, I think it's critical to get our defenders back. Porro, Spence, Sosa with Romero, Danso, Van der Ven is how he's going to want to play. I think we might be looking for more creative options, but it is what we have. I think the key one might be getting Gallagher up to speed to help Xavi out, and giving Luka Williams-Barnett a run at 10. And we have to see Tell more. And you know what? Tell him to shoot. The guy's got a cannon of a shot, and we need goals. And even if it doesn't go in, it's the post, gets a deflection, keeper has to make a save. Yeah, we've got to play some percentages for getting in the box and getting some goals. And tell the guys to follow up.
Yeah.
Tell him to follow up. Hit it and follow up.
But also when you shoot from distance, their defenders and their midfielders, they know they have to come out and close you down. They know they have to try and stop that shot. Under Frank, they knew we weren't going to shoot from distance, so they could just sit back in the penalty area, nice and comfortable, and wait for us to come onto them. If you're going for a shot, then they need to rush out and close you down, and that creates space. So I completely agree.
100%. Yeah,
and I would say I don't think we're going to get any meaningful help from now to the end of the season in the attacking or creative areas. Looking at when people are coming back, they're going to be coming back off extremely long-term injuries. They're not going to be up to speed. I don't think Maddison, Decky, Kudus, any of them. I don't think any of them will be able to contribute anything to this season. Not meaningful. They might be able to come on and make up numbers at the end of matches, but I don't think they're going to. I think it's going to be a long time. So I don't think we've got time, and we don't have the luxury of bedding them back in either.
That's true.
So
yeah.
I think, hopefully we've got Udogie coming back in mid-March. We've got Porro coming back. We've got Dancer coming back. Cutie coming back for one match before he gets his next suspension. So we should start having like a meaningful defence. And I think we showed some stuff yesterday, and that was off only 5 days training. So we're going to have to make it with what we got.
David, one thing I would say is that you look at the teams we're fighting with to survive. You can't say that Solanke, Richarlison, Tel, Kolomoani is worse than the attacking threats from the teams below. If you look at Forest against Liverpool, they completely outplayed Liverpool.
Yes, I watched it.
Yeah, and couldn't score. We've got the players to score. We've just got to find a way to create the chances, because if we can do that, they would score enough to keep us up.
Watching that Liverpool-Nottingham Forest match, I was just crying, thinking about Morgan Gibbs-White and
it twisted me up a bit, because you kind of want Liverpool to win, and in a good way they won, but you can see that they're also quite shit, and we have to play them. So it gives us.
We've got, Romero will be back for that Liverpool game, but if he picks up a booking in that game, he'll miss the next two, which would be Nottingham Forest and Sunderland. I'll be honest, I wouldn't play Kuti in that game. I'd say, look, okay, we need you fit, we need you available and ready for the games that we're going to have a real chance of getting something out of. Liverpool, despite some of their struggles, they're a very good side, and you just know that they're going to get a penalty or something given to them when we play them. Certainly, seeing as it's at Anfield,
they got absolutely bossed by Nottingham Forest.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, if Forest had a striker, it was really, really massive. Domination by Nottingham Forest. It was incredible when Liverpool got that goal. It was extraordinary. Which actually is a little bit scary, since they're one of the ones that we're fighting against relegation.
Yes. But I was looking through the next 5 matches for all of the sides we're up against. I can see over the next 5 matches, pretty much every team apart from Leeds getting 6 points out of the next 5 games, including us, and that was me being quite negative. Leeds, I could only see getting 3 points, so I can see us overtaking them relatively soon. And then things will maybe start to look a bit better. If we can get 6 points from the next 5 games, we only need to get another 6 points from the games that follow, and we will be safe. A lot of people saying we need 9 points to be safe. I'm not sure about that. I want us to get 41 points before I feel any kind of clarity or any level of comfort.
Completely agree with you, Stu. I don't think this might not be a low points relegation season.
Yeah. Certainly, considering West Ham are actually in pretty good form right now.
Yeah.
Compared to us. I mean, they've won 3 out of their last 6, I think. So it's tough. Let's talk about Igor Tudor's comments after the match. He complained about the players' readiness, both psychologically and physically. He talked about a lack of direction in the team. What is the goal of this club? What are they aiming for? This is what he said. In one way, we need to see something good. If I can tell this, something good to see where we need to be. Where is the goal? What is the level? What is, So today, totally different worlds, I need to be honest. 2 totally different worlds, psychological and physical worlds, levels. What the fuck has Thomas Frank been doing with this side if an interim coach can come in and immediately go, they're psychologically not prepared, they're physically not prepared, and all they do is defending, and they're not very good at that, which is basically what he said over the last week. What has Thomas Frank been doing for 7 months? Because that, I thought, was a really effectively damning set of statements from him to come out. And, there's always like this respect of previous managers and things that you don't say. You don't badmouth the previous manager. And he's come out and said that. He said the players are massively underprepared and woefully prepared, and
And no
there's no
confidence.
common goal. There's no, the players just aren't ready. What has Thomas Frank been doing? How? And the other thing about that, how has nobody in upper management taken a decision before we got into February?
Yep.
How is that possible, Austin?
I think the confidence in the side is absolutely shot.
Rock
I
bottom.
mean, it's been. We started off when Frank came in. He had the result against PSG where we were 2-0 up and drew 2-0 and lost some penalties. We beat Arsenal and things were looking good. But since then, it's got
We beat Man
progressively.
City. We lost badly against Arsenal.
I'm talking about the pre-season.
Oh,
match against
pre-season.
Arsenal
Okay.
that we won
Yeah.
1-0. But since
We
then,
won
it's got
both.
progressively worse. The confidence of the team is absolutely drained.
Yep.
Confidence is low. Confidence is seriously low.
Yeah, I think that's the result of his micromanaging of players. Micromanaging where stand 1 meter to the right. No, stand 1 meter to the right. Come on. This is an international footballer. You don't need to be doing that. And I hopefully that Igor will have more confidence in his players, because I think if you give them confidence, then they gain confidence. And if you show you don't have any confidence in them, which I think Frank did, that's what Frank did, then they lose confidence.
I think our last two managers are to blame, both of them. I know Ange had difficulty, but with the injury situation and choosing what to go for, and we won a cup, so you can't be too critical, but kind of normalized losing, sacking off the league, because the feeling like it was set, we're too good to go down, we'll try for other stuff. And that rot has set in. So I think it's a bit of both. And I don't buy his interview with the Athletic. The guys that not with the overlap, guys that were really slating him, and he had so much issues with. Now he's sitting down all pally with them, and a lot of revisionism. A lot of the stuff he said was correct about the board, but I think there was also some revisionism. Let's put it that way. But I think normalizing and losing has become normal for this club, and that's a problem.
Yeah, and I can't believe he gets a free pass for this sacking off the league thing. I mean, I think during him sacking off the league thing, I paid probably about £1,000 to go and see Tottenham matches in the stadium. 2 tickets plus the train from Paris to London and so on. So you're going to give me you're going to refund me because you didn't have any intention to win it? Don't tell me that the teams were not good enough to win those matches. Of course they were. They were just woefully unprepared. The tactics were anyway. Let's not go back into Ange because
I think my point was that it's a long-term malaise that has set in where we've normalized losing, and Frank is to blame for a lot of it with his micromanagement. I agree with you. It's completely lack of inspiration, lacking any ethos of what this club should be and the way we want to play. But I think it goes a bit deeper than that. The board is disgraceful. They should all freaking fall on their sword if they had a modicum of self-respect.
They won't, though. I think we all know they won't.
Hey, they'll fall on their wallets. They'll be well protected. They've got loads of padding in there.
Yeah.
Seeing Dele at half time was very moving, I thought. But it was also infuriating because it just underlined that when Dele was playing for us, we were all laughing at how shit Arsenal were.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Aston Villa. In that period, there has just been appalling mismanagement of this club, appalling mismanagement, and you're right. There should be some Harry Kiri going on.
The problem is,
you could say they're a day late and $1 short, except they're not $1 short. That's the difference.
Yeah.
About 5 million of them short.
5 million.
Yeah. The problem is, I mean, I'm not even going to entertain the possibility of us going down because I don't think we will. But if we stay up, as we probably will do, and you look at the players who are likely to be pushing for a move away from the club, as well as the players who we should be moving on, and the ones who are coming to the end of their loans, and we're probably not going to convert those into long-term contracts. You're looking at 6, 7 players who should be out the door, right? And then you're probably looking at another 3 players who will be pushing to leave the club. So including Vicario, Van der Ven, Romero, and I hate to say it, probably Pedro Porro, because Pedro Porro's stock is probably high enough to get a decent move somewhere. We're suddenly in a position where the players we buy in as a club that's probably going to finish 15th or 16th are not going to be better than the players we've got leaving. Unless we get very, very lucky with recruitment somehow. We're not gonna sell Romero and bring in someone better than Romero. We're not going to sell Van der Ven and bring in someone better than Van der Ven. We're probably
I think we're going to splash the
sell
cash.
Vicario and play
to be honest.
Kinski.
I think this has scared them shitless. If forgive my French, but I think we'll.
There's been enough French spoken in this podcast already, so don't worry about it. Tant pis, as they say.
I think they'll splash the cash. I think they've been scared, and they've not. Yeah, they've not got a leg to stand on now. There's nothing protecting them. They've come out and said that they're waiting for the summer window, although they've said things before. But I think the backlash would be something that they wouldn't be able to handle. I think we're going to splash the cash. Personal feeling. Big cash, and that might get other people staying. If you purchasing 50 million, 100 million pound players, lots of them, probably gonna convince some of the guys who want to leave to give it one more shot, especially if they got long contracts. Yeah, that's the hope.
Austin?
I think the thing that worries me is that Igor is here till the summer. And it's rumoured that Pochettino might come in the summer, but not till after the World Cup, which means that he'll have no time in preparation for the team because the World Cup finishes not that far before the start of the season. And if you want a new manager to pick his team or to get players in, he's going to have no time to get players in that he wants to work with them before the season starts. So I think we could be in with a really difficult period next season.
I think that's going to come down to who replaces Paratici as director of football. I mean, they're talking about continuing with this 2-tier system of directors of football. It looks like Langer isn't going anywhere, because I think if they were going to get rid of Langer, they would have done it already. They would have done it at the same time as they're getting rid of Frank. What's he going to do? If he's a dead man walking, what's he going to do before the summer? He's just going to pick up his wage. They might as well have sacked him already and clean slate it. So I think he's going to stay. I think you're going to find that I think you'll find his remit is going to be massively reduced. He's going to be told to go out and find players who are under the radar, but still capable of doing something, players that are coming up. So, your Greys, your Berrivals, your Mason Melias, hopefully, maybe, but who knows. But in terms of under the radar players, Kinski, Danso, players like that, to get them can come in, can do a job in the squad, but they're not going to cost huge amounts of money. But at the same time, bring in someone like Paul Mitchell, who is much more of a squad builder, and, actually be able to bring the whole thing into a cohesive whole. And then if you do that, then maybe bringing in a coach like Pochettino would be a very, very good move. I'm still very, very unsure about Pochettino coming back, because I love the guy and I hate to see his halo being tarnished. But
the hope is that they know who's coming in. That's why Igor's only here for a short term.
Yeah,
and they've started their work already. That's the hope, but their track record tells you something else, right?
So,
well, you'd hope they'd have stuff lined up for January, but apparently they didn't. The thing that bugs me is that we were linked to Raya, who went to Bournemouth for 6 months. Good 6 months we were linked to him. This young kid from Vasco da Gama coming up. I mean, I was watching clips and highlights of him and trying to get some Brazilian matches. Couldn't do it, but was trying. to see whether or not this kid was any good. And he looked good. And then he goes to Bournemouth and he scores 2 in his first 2. And you're like, what on earth's going on? How did we miss out on someone who plays in a position that we desperately need, who's been taken in by Bournemouth to replace Semenyo, who was a player apparently we were also interested. So clearly we felt there was a need for a player in that position of that style, and we just let it go.
Yeah. I'm really worried about Langer still being in position this summer. I mean,
Me too.
Quite apart from the because even if we didn't have the massive injury crisis, we would have been inferior to Arsenal. We would have an inferior team to Arsenal. Even with everybody back, we were not as good as them. And that is unbelievable. That's unacceptable. But quite apart from the recruitment, it's the incompetence that they showed all summer in negotiations and in trying to get players in that really worries me. You know, there were at least 2 massive cock-ups this summer. At least 2. Those are the 2 that we know about, you know, and having the same team in place is just, you know, it's insane. You know, doing the same thing and expecting a different result is the definition of madness, you know, and continuing with Langer is madness. He's a head of scouting. He's a head of scouting. That's been through the Peter principle. He's been promoted out above his competence levels. So yeah. I mean, he's got to go. He's got to go. This squad is really poor. It's really poor, and he's the squad builder. He's been in place long enough for us not to be in this position.
Yeah, I know we don't want to look at Arsenal and say they've done things well, but the thing they have done well is their purchasing. They've gone out and they've spent big money on players to improve their squad every time. We go out and we seem to spend reasonable money on players in the hope that they're going to do something we haven't seen from them yet. Drăgușin, I think, is a perfect example of this. We spent 26 million on him, hoping that he would step up and be able to do better and, you know, push Romero or Van der Ven for a spot. And realistically, he's not anywhere near that level. Even before his injury, and right now it's difficult to complain about him too much because he's just come back and suddenly he's been forced into one of the most critical parts of the side. And yeah, he screwed up yesterday on at least 2 occasions and didn't look great. Maybe he'll do better as the season goes on, but you know, why are we having to rely on a player who we have already said is not good enough? You know, we should be concentrating and buying better players for the positions we're bringing them in. And the players who were in those positions, they become the squad fillers. Instead, we're buying squad fillers and hoping they're going to step up.
Yeah, we're basically downgrade every position every season. Systematically. And, you know, Paul Mitchell, I would love Paul Mitchell to come back. You know, I'd love it.
He's available.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, gents. Anybody got anything to say before we close this particular show out?
Last thing on the overall picture, I do think the management is very lacking. Since Daniel left, I feel like we've got a rudderless team because I just don't see anything from the Lewis family to suggest they're taking control and driving the club forward. That's my last comment.
Apparently, they were the ones who said that Frank needed to go.
Yeah, they came
down from the board.
And Langer's hand, didn't they?
And my comment on that is eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
Eventually, late. Far too late. Yeah. The fact that it was allowed to go on for so long is what worries me. Because, I mean, we were talking about it in October, about how it wasn't going to work and there were problems. And if we, football fans, with no particular insight, most of us are watching on TV, we don't have to get a chance to go to the games. But if we can look at it and say, there's this problem and this is our game plan and it's easily being nullified, then professional managers and data analysts and people like that, they can easily spot these things. And that's why we struggled, because we've been so easy to read. You know, it begged belief that he was able to stay in place for so long. he should have been gone way before January. We should have had a new manager come in and be given the chance to do some surgery on that squad throughout the month of January and get us a little bit more on track. Instead, we let him get through some relatively easy games, which he fumbled by losing or drawing, and we did almost nothing in the actual January transfer window. We spent. Do you know how much do you think we spent in January in total?
Zero.
It was 13, wasn't it? 13
No,
million or something?
it was not. It was 8
No, right.
because we sold Valise for 5.
Oh yeah, okay.
So
You
in the
got
end, we
me.
spent about 8. We spent about 8 million. It is ridiculous that a club who was in 15th position during January is only spending 8 million euros on their side.
West Ham apparently brought in 5 players. I don't know who they were, but they brought in 5 players.
Yeah,
And they're looking dangerously better.
they're looking better than us, certainly. Okay. Before we go, does anybody want to have a minute silence, pour one out for Brennan Johnson, because it looks like Thomas Frank's going to be his manager very soon.
Oh, really?
Well, Glasner seems to be doing his best to get himself sacked, and Thomas Frank is the front runner for the job. Can you imagine?
It'll just
Brennan-
be like us
Brennan-
to have Frank in charge.
Has Brennan
does.
actually scored a goal since he went to Palace?
No, not as far as I'm aware.
That's sad. Really sad.
Poor lad. Poor lad.
Yeah.
Can you
But they'll
imagine?
be so
Thomas
top
Frank
then.
says he don't want you. Off you go. Go to Palace. 4 weeks later.
But it'll
Oh,
be
my
it'll be
goodness.
just so much Spurs to go and lose to Palace's Frank ball.
Yeah.
We need to
a
win
goal
both.
from Brennan Johnson.
To the goal from Brennan. We need to win the Palace game. That Palace game is huge now.
Yeah.
We need to do something against Fulham. We absolutely need to beat Nottingham Forest and Leeds. If we don't, we are in real trouble, because it's going to get so tight down the bottom. And I have very little confidence in our mental strength, to actually push on and make the points ours.
The omens are not good for us. Ex-players with points to prove and an ex-manager with point to prove.
Yeah.
Not good.
Okay, gents, thank you very, very much for joining us. We will be back. Our next one will be after the Fulham game. So there we go. I will be turning a year older on that day, so hopefully we'll get 3 points. That'll be nice. So we'll be back on Monday, the 2nd of March, a week from tonight. Gents, thank you.
Stuart. Well done.
And speak to you all soon. And until next time, come on, you Spurs.
Gather round, lads, it's time for a cheer. We've got opinions to share, raise your part, never fear. From the stands to the pub, we're ready to spit. In the world of football, it's the CADS chat shit. Oh, he was in form just last week, but now he's a flop, so unique. Spurs gonna win it, that's what we decree. Never mind facts, it's our fantasy. Our strikers are legends, we'll score a whole bunch. Forget all the stats, we'll just take the punch. With every wild take, we raise up our glass, while pundits just chuckle, ignore them alas. The CADS chat shit. To the left and the right, we're taking a hit, so you know it's true. Hear the banter ignite, raise your voice loud, shout it out tonight. The CADS chat shit, we'll sing it again with a smile and a grin. Oh, here's to the boys, let's make it a trend. With a wink and a nudge, let the fun never end. Last week we claimed it'll be 5-0 for sure. Now we're debating if we'll score at the door. Did you see that last miss? What a fiery debate. As we pull up our chairs and we narrow our fates. Hot takes flying high, we're the kings of the pub. While the lads on the pitch just need a good rub. From the top of the table right back to the ground, you'll hear us all chatting that familiar sound. The CADS chat shit. To the left and the right, we're taking a hit, so you know it's true. Hear the banter ignite, raise your voice loud, shout it out tonight. The CADS chat shit, we'll sing it again with a smile and a grin. Oh, here's to the boys, let's make it a trend. With a wink and a nudge, let the fun never end.